They should actually sit in the front. Voilà, shall we start? Yes. Okay, good. So good thing I waited, because now everybody seems to be here, and I have the number of students here in the room that I expected. Yeah, welcome to EPFL. So I'm happy to have you here, and my name is Andreas Pauls, so German, as you can tell from my stupid accent and whatever, right? So, but I have been here now at EPFL for, I think, 11 years, and this is, I think, my 12th time I'm doing this welcome, so I guess I have seen quite a few students by now. And yeah, so, and this is a nice group, size seems good. I think we are 18 or something, 18. 19 even, so that's a nice group size, so it's more on the higher side of students that we had. I mean, when I started here, I think we had typically 11, 12 students, around 13 sometimes. Last year we had 27, so it was unheard of, and it brought us into trouble because more than 20 we have trouble to digest, I must say, but this is a fantastic group size, so stay tuned and stay with us. And I have also a few nice colleagues with me. Valerie Scherer is our guardian angel, so to say, of the students. So in any matters that have not to do with physics or with nuclear technology, she's probably the one you want to ask, right? So administration, signing up for courses, you name it, right? So I mean, so really she has been here for much longer than I and knows virtually everything about this course and about EPFL. I have several colleagues from my team here at EPFL. So Wang Song is sitting here. He will guide you through the reactor experiments and will take you on the tour later. Oskari in the back is the head of the reactor right now. I have my dear colleague, Professor Tran, happy retiree, I shall say, but still with us, and he has been, it's actually from nuclear fusion, so fusion questions go always to Professor Tran, and he has been a good friend of this program for quite a while too. And I have Fabienne here. Fabienne Schauder is a colleague from industry, and today I thought this is the first time, so Fabienne, no reason to be anxious, it's all good. So, but this is the first time that I thought I would also invite somebody from industry, because industry has always an extremely important partner for us. And I thought it would be a nice idea if Fabienne can give you an overview, what are your opportunities here in Switzerland when it comes to internships, master theses, jobs, of course, right after your studies. And I thought it would be a good idea if you meet Fabienne from the start. So, and we take the time and I give you for 10, 15 minutes or something, right? So maybe we are a bit longer than last year, but we shall try. After that, we take you to our reactor. So first time, and it's not only for sightseeing, but also because you will be working there next week. So you should know the way to the reactor, and Wang Song and Oskari will take you over there. Okay, so you have decided for this program, and that's a good thing. Valerie, yes. Yes. Do you want to just, okay,
yes,
yeah.
Just say, don't forget to check your EPFL emails. There are very important deadlines or information, and my emails especially. If you have any questions about DS Academia, how to register, to withdraw, we have 3 students who did their bachelor here.
Who is it? Just raise your hands.
Yes, so Leonard.
Yeah, different situations.
So Leonard is second year, but in your batch is Matthew and Martina, and Vadim is not here. So don't hesitate to ask me if there is
That's good. Sorry about that, but so if you struggle with the system, and you will struggle, please ask the colleagues who have already been struggling for 3 years. So it's probably so that's good to have a few EPFL guys here already. Okay, see you later. Okay, so again, Andreas is fine, so please do not say Professor Pauls, that annoys me. Andreas is fine, okay. So I'm head of the lab here for reactor physics and systems behavior. It's just a few steps from here. And I also happen to be, and that is why you won't see me that much, I happen to work at the Paul Scherrer Institute, the large research institute in the northwestern part, northern part of Switzerland, where I also happen to be the director of the Nuclear Energy and Safety Division. That's a 200 people entertainment, so it keeps me busy. So, and that is why I spend my lecture days here at EPFL, but otherwise I'm mostly here. Emails I always reply to with some delay, so don't expect me to be here every day, but I have great colleagues here who are more at your disposition, let's put it that way. Okay, so the master program. So nice thing you decided for that. And the specific things already is that we are one of the few master programs, and we were for a long time the only one that happens at two places, right? So at Lausanne, where you are today, and where I'm basically in charge. And I finally replaced that picture with a more recent one because I had a 15-year-old picture here that was not credible anymore. And then there is, of course, in Zurich, and that's Professor Monera, who you will meet next semester, and I hope that she will have a chance also to drop by already this semester, because she will be your guardian angel, so to say, in the second semester when you move to Zurich, right? So, as I said, it's a joint program. For a long time, really the only program of the two Swiss schools. And what is important is that I think the nuclear laboratories at those two schools by themselves would probably be too small to handle this whole program. And that is why, especially in the third semester, you will have a lot of contact with the Paul Scherrer Institute, because the third semester you will essentially spend there. And if you decide also to do your master's thesis there, it is a place to be, because, as I said, we have 200 colleagues there, all nuclear engineers and scientists that are happy to, most of them, let's put it that way, happy to supervise young people. And so therefore it is a really important component of our program. Now, what's the issue here? The issue is distance, right? I mean, Switzerland is a small country. I basically come here once a week and do my lecture day, and that's fine. But if you want to do that every day, it's a bit strenuous. So 220 kilometers between Lausanne and Zurich. So I would recommend you to move after the first semester, because otherwise it's a lot of traveling. Between Zurich and PSI, I live in Zurich, and I commute every day to PSI. So that's an hour. Right, by public transport. Depends a bit where you live in Zurich, but more or less an hour. So many of our students decided to just live in the middle. There's the city of Baden, which is a nice place. Bit sleepy, I would think, but that's why I live in Zurich. But it is possible, right? So, and that is something you ask the previous generation of students or the guys that are sitting here now and ask them how they handle it. Yeah. Do you have a recommendation what to do?
Depends. If you want to live in the city, then you stay in Zurich. Yeah. If you come from a small village, then really it's a very nice place.
Yeah, sure. So, it's actually the place where I first registered in Switzerland, and only 4 months, and I moved away. So
to the second time you're in the train station at the late in the day, you can see a Professor Paul's very tired going back to school.
Yeah, and please don't talk to me exactly. Yes. Anyway, so you will figure that out. Right, I mean, it's, as I said, you are the 13th batch, I think, or 14th. People have managed before. You may even have apartments that are being passed on from the guys before. I don't know. Did you trade with somebody or?
I tried to, but the last year was not very helpful.
Okay, once?
We are more open.
Okay. Oh, unsocial.
There is a nice apartment in Learning to be available in money.
Okay. You know who to talk to, right? So, I mean, you can talk about it later too. Okay. Right, this is PSI, and that is why I say the village here, this is, no, I have to be careful, where's Würnling is here, has a nice concrete factory, that's the biggest building. And here's Villingen, so it's sleepy, and as I said, it's an hour from Zurich, approximately. Okay, let's talk about the program a bit. So, of course, this program is mostly about nuclear power, right? It's nuclear energy. So, and with, of course, also a focus on operating power, fission energy for safe and sustainable energy supply. And I think many of you have an idea about nuclear power and probably know why you chose this topic, because you also feel that nuclear power is a very reasonable addition to our energy system and can provide energy at large, at very low carbon dioxide, etc., right? So, I mean, there's obvious reasons for that. But we also tell our students, please do not only focus on nuclear power, but also look at nuclear techniques. Medicine and industry, highly interesting. And we have had every year, I had 3 or 4 students that worked in proton therapy, radiopharmacy. So interesting work topics, right? Hospitals, I mean, nuclear medicine in hospitals has become a big thing. So also interesting. And of course, there's nuclear fusion. And there's a reason why Professor Tran is here, because especially in Lausanne, we have a huge fusion research center, which also offers possibilities, opportunities. And I want to say every year, 2, 3, maybe even 4 students actually decided to do fusion, which for me is perfectly fine, right? It's also nuclear power. And again, what we also do not want is that you all just walk around like nuclear crusaders and say nuclear saves the world and it will be part of the solution. But I also want you to understand that, of course, nuclear has to be seen in the context of a world with lots of renewable energy, with storage, with energy efficiency, and all that makes this package of sustainable energy, right? And nuclear, I personally believe, is an important part to that. But you also know other people have different opinions, which you will face sooner or later. What we also is nice about our program, we are basically open to all science and engineering disciplines, so physics, chemistry, mechanical, chemical, or civil engineering, electrical engineering, everybody is welcome. And that is nice because we get a good mix, and we make a little tour de table after this. I just want to see where people come from which disciplines and so on. But usually we have a nice mix, and nuclear is so interdisciplinary that it is really, really required that you have people from all kinds of areas, not just from physics or not just from mechanical engineering. At the end, in 2 years from now, if everything goes right, you will be a Master of Science and you get a diploma basically with both the EPF and the ETH stamp on it. And well, first semester, of course, you will be here in Lausanne, and I'll talk about your curriculum in a moment. Second semester in Zurich. Third semester, you have lectures and also projects at PSI. And then the fourth semester, you can essentially decide where you want to do your master's thesis. Right? We talk about this in a moment. You have a bunch of elective courses. I come to that. And since we are also a tutor-aided program, I mentioned that in a moment. Let me start with the staff here. As I said, we have these 2 professors, EPFL and ETH. As I said, at EPFL, Professor Tran, for example. The other ones you will meet, Ambrogio Fasoli is lecturing the fusion lecture. François Bouchu is for nuclear medicine, or what is it called? Medical physics, thank you, that's right. And Mike Seidel is a colleague of mine from PSI. He reads the accelerator, particle accelerator lecture. And this is the team here at EPFL. So Wang Song is here and Oskari is here.
15 years old pictures again.
Yeah, the pictures are a bit outdated, right? We should probably work on that. So
I'm young.
And Oskari's hair is longer, so that's fine. Okay. All right. And then we have the tutors, right? And I mean, as I said, so any kind of tutor is also, again, a person that you can contact if something goes wrong. Not with your studies, your tutor will not help you with your grades or anything, but for all other, how should I say, personal struggle, if you want to have advice, which master's thesis should I pick, which internship should I pick, the tutor is there for you and you can ask him or her questions, right? And it's really an entirely advisory role. Yeah, so your research supervisor in your master thesis can be a different person or should be a different person. And you can pick me. It's completely possible. Would I advise for or against it? I'm not quite sure, I must say. So I seem to be very busy, and I always feel that it is kind of unfair if I only reply after 4 days if you have an urgent issue. So I must personally say I would recommend against me, but it's only a statement. So Professor Tran is, as I said, is happily retired, still very active though, and I think you wanted to say a few words about yourself. So maybe it's probably a good opportunity and to have Kwang say a few words.
Okay, I think that what is on the screen is quite right. Only the second bullet has been changed because not because I retired from this strategic working group, but because of the political scenario between Switzerland and Europe, and we were kicked out of the strategic working group on energy. Of course, I shall be honored to serve you as tutor. You see my mail, and I can assure you that the response time should be shorter than 24 hours. And then just send it again with an unkind reminder if you so wish. And the only reason why we have this very strong interlink between fusion and fission is that you may learn in a few weeks that with fusion we shall have in the first generation of device a very energetic neutrons, 14 MeV neutrons, which will make all kinds of mechanical effects, Frankel pairs of insertion and vacancies, but it also causes embrittlement of materials by helium and hydrogen. So this is really a very common problem with fission. And I can say that also in a fusion reactor, you have the issue of creating the tritium, which has a very short lifetime and need to be created in situ to finish the cycle. And this type of structure, the breeding blanket, is really a nuclear problem. So in general, if you like, and at the end of the day, when already now with ITER, we are facing in safety and regulation issues. So I can say that in short, that the fusion domain now needs engineers and scientists who knows what is the nuclear technology. And it is very important for us. We cannot design anything, and this I have experienced since my last work with it, that in every step we have to work with safety people to select the right material, to see whether the shutdown dose rate in our system is permissible, and so on. So you are very, very much welcome in the field after your study. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you. And it's really an important point because really fusion has reached an engineering stage, right? For a long time, it was how to master the plasma itself, which is also the big focus here at EPFL. But now with ITER being built, I mean, it will happen, right? So at some point, we will have a fusion plant, and this is it's a nuclear plant, right? With many issues that nuclear fission reactors also have. Okay, thank you, Kwang. I think I take a short break here because I would now be curious to learn more about you, actually, and we can make that short, but maybe if you can give me your name so I find it here, where you come from and where you have studied before, and what has drawn you to nuclear power. I would just be curious. no interrogation, don't worry about it. I'm just curious to see where people come from. I know, do you want to start?
Yes, my name is Marco. I'm from the Turin, so northwest of Italy.
Torino.
I'm from Polytechnic of Torino, and I studied energy engineering.
Right.
So I already did one course on nuclear fission, and yes, I liked it, I enjoyed it, but especially coming to nuclear topic before, and I already find it very interesting, and so I decided to follow this step.
Very nice. And we have had a lot of students from Torino and from Milano, Torino, the two polytechnicals. We had quite a few students, and I want to say usually very, very successful. So that much I can say. But okay, thank you, Marco. And
I'm Villard. I'm from. I studied in Polytechnic of Milan. I've done materials engineering and nanotechnology, and also I followed some classes on nuclear physics, and I followed a seminar on nuclear fusion, which drove me to nuclear engineering. I'm very interested in that.
And you're a material scientist, and as you have heard, materials are one of the major issues, right? So, and both in fusion and fission, so that's important qualification already. Okay, thank you.
I'm Francesco. Like him, I come from Italy, Polytechnic of Turin, and I did energetic engineering. Honestly, I couldn't do the course of fission because I was in Erasmus, but anyway, I followed a course about more generic engineering.
Very good. Okay. Elsewhere or in the Erasmus was, where was it?
No, it was in Turin.
Oh, that was also Turin.
This course more generic about.
Okay. Okay. So 3 times Torino already. Okay.
My name is Giovanni, and I studied energy engineering at Polytechnic of Milan.
Okay, hola. It's a bit further east. Yeah, okay, so that's the Italian coalition here. So, okay.
Yes, my main focus was the power production, of course, given my bachelor degree. So.
Right. Okay, so then you're at the right place for sure. So yeah, yes.
Hi, I'm Flavio. I'm also from Italy, but I'm from Rome. I studied energy engineering at La Sapienza. I also took one course about nuclear energy application, and what leads.
Okay, very good.
Nuclear engineering course.
Just try to think whether we also, I think we had students from Rome too. La Sapienza is also well known, I think. So yeah, I'm just trying to think. Alessandro is from, no, it's not from Rome, no. Okay. And
hello, everybody. I'm Mathieu, and I'm not studying.
Okay.
I have my bachelor here in the paper, but in life science. And but I've chosen to change thanks to teachers I have in first year and second year. Ivo Furno. He's a teacher who is working in a Swiss Plasma Center, and I'm Rajo Fazari.
Okay, with Amoji.
I had in electromagnetism, and I did an exchange in Polytechnico di Torino. To another teacher there, I began to learn the application of radiation in industry and biomedical. I really appreciated these courses, and that's why I'm here today. So,
but you are also leaning towards, say, nuclear techniques in medicine or something, or is it right now you're? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yes.
My name is Martina. I'm from Poland. I did my bachelor's here in mechanical engineering. And yeah, I did an exchange this year, and I had a chance to take some more physics courses. So I had to change my section.
Okay, very good. Good decision. Thank you. Okay.
So my name is Julia. I'm from Poland as well, but I studied in Warsaw, in Warsaw University of Technology. I studied applied physics with a minor in material science as well. And I would say I was interested in nuclear physics from high school, even. And yeah, actually there aren't, I don't know how others felt, but I've seen that in Europe there aren't many nuclear
engineering or nuclear course, like programs in general?
Not enough,
So-
not enough. Yeah, I know that. That's true.
Yeah, so I've seen this one, it was interesting, and
Very good.
that's why it came to me.
And it seems that Poland has big plans, at least, right?
Yeah, we don't have yet any nuclear power plants,
Yeah,
so
but-
that's why I also wanted to.
Yeah, I think it's probably a good time to start now because I understand Poland is very serious about nuclear power.
Yeah, yes.
I believe.
I think it's technically planned for 2033,
Yeah,
but of course it will be delayed probably.
yeah, but still, though. I mean, still, though.
In 15 years maybe.
Yeah, you know, but it's still 15 years. You are still a young person, so it's still a good career step. So, all right. Oh, cool. Thank you. Yes.
My name is Lauri. I'm from Finland, and I'm here on exchange only.
Okay.
Only for the first semester here. And my background is in management, but I did for my bachelor, I did like a minor in energy sciences, which is mostly nuclear engineering and renewables as well. And I'm most interested in fusion. So
Finland has also just started the biggest reactor of Europe, right? I mean, it's a significant step. It took a long time, but I think everybody's happy now, so it works, right? So, okay.
I'm Eric. I studied mechanical engineering at the EPFL Zurich. And now I just saw the poster about the nuclear engineering at the ETH, and I thought that was really interesting. I also took some courses on renewable energies, and there I saw what important role nuclear energy could take. So, yeah.
Spread the word. So it's important. Yeah, okay. Very good. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm François-Henri. I come from Lyon in France, and I was studying at École Polytechnique near Paris. And I'm mostly into fission and building nuclear plants.
So you already have you already went to several nuclear courses, I understand.
Yes, yes, this year.
So they call Polytechnique in Palaiseau or where?
In Palaiseau.
Palaiseau. It's good address for nuclear, so good school. Okay.
Hello, my name is Alex. I'm from Grenoble INT Felma. And I'm studying for my last semester as a Erasmus student. And at Felma, I actually study nuclear engineering. And I decided to choose nuclear engineering because it was something that was between heavy science and real concrete application. So that's why I decided it was a good fit for me. I
don't think you will. No, don't worry about it. So, I mean, it is true what you say. I mean, there is, when it comes to energy production, I mean, nothing against windmills, but I mean, compared to the challenge, right, the scientific challenge, a windmill is not particularly exciting, right? It's material point-wise, it's super exciting. I mean, that's why these things are growing and growing. But from the interdisciplinarity, of course, we have anything from physics to control theory to material, civil engineering. It's a huge spectrum for activities, right? Okay.
I'm as well from France, and I studied in the Polytechnique as well. Energy engineering, so I've done some nuclear courses, and I wanted to follow that sector, and especially with the current renewing of nuclear plants in France, it was quite easy to get into that.
It's also a good time for France to start nuclear engineering now. I mean, if these plans come true, I always wonder how much is blah blah and how much will really happen. But I mean, for sure they will build something. They have to, right? I mean, France has to renew their fleet. That's for sure. Okay.
So I'm one. My name is Andrew from France, and I basically studied applied mathematics and numerical analysis and IT. During my studies, I've chosen to follow some courses about materials and energetics. That's why I'm here to continue to work in fusion.
Okay. Again, different backgrounds. So I think we have a nice mix of disciplines here already. So it's nice.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Armand from France. I've studied mechanical engineering at ETH. Like you said, what I really liked about this field is, first of all, was the energy topics including in society, and also the very interdisciplinary topic with all the fields it takes.
Again, good choice. So now I have four, right? Yeah. You just want to say, I mean, they are from last year, so I know these guys, but maybe you're just for the people here, so they have a contact person.
I'm Axel. I did mechanical engineering at ETH. Yeah, currently I'm working at Coglan. We do that.
And we will see you at PSI in a few weeks. Yeah.
I'm Luigi, and I study energy engineering in Polytechnic in Milan. So I know you, Bishop, right? And I'm working with the Axpo now for my internship, and I will start soon at PSI together with this guy. And I can tell the master is tough.
Don't say that. It's too early.
Go through it. No, it's very, very rewarding. And after all, we can exchange it to words because we will understand.
Okay, so I'm Benjamin from France. I did my bachelor in physics at EPFL. I'm now doing my master in 3 years. So I did my first year in 2 years to do a bigger internship, to have holidays.
You can do that.
And I'm specializing in decommissioning and computer simulations of electronics. So I will do my project with materials at first. And I did my internship at accueil in Bern.
Oh, okay.
So my name is Leonard. To be original, I'm also from France and also did my bachelor in physics at EPFL. I'm basically studying nuclear engineering and currently doing my internship at KKR. So we say KK for a long time. It means Kernkraft, so nuclear power plant. So in the day, we work in Leibstadt. Switzerland has basically 4 nuclear power plants. One is being decommissioned, and Leibstadt is a bit of apart from that, no, nothing to be said.
I'm Harry. I'm from UK, Cambridge, but I studied chemical engineering at Manchester. So this one quite new for me, but I've always been interested in nuclear fusion and plasma. So
well, chemical engineering is perfect. So I think that's actually another nice direction that we need more of, I must say. So, and if you're interested in multi-phase flows and so on, wonderful. Actually, I studied in Manchester too. So yeah, a long time ago, and you don't. My accent doesn't tell, but I guess it's. Okay.
So, hey, my name is Sébastien. So I'm from France. I studied at École Polytechnique. So just as François-Henri and Poly. So I had some courses about nuclear engineering already. And, I mean, at some point before that, I had to choose something. I chose nuclear engineering because I like physics. But,
well, you will start with physics next week, so I guess that's my part. Okay, great, thank you. And last one.
Hello everyone, I'm Younes. I was a student in Sorbonne University in physics, and I chose this course because I heard that there are many job opportunities in nuclear engineering. So here I am.
Yeah, you will hear more from Fabian later, and I think it's correct saying that, right? I think you have the statistics in your slides, so how many we need. So yeah, right now it's a good time to start. Very different to, let's say, 5-10 years ago, because we have a big retirement wave, and our power plants are looking urgently for people. That much I can say. Right. And
hi everyone, I'm Alessandro. I'm from Ticino, and I just finished my bachelor in material science in ETH. And when I saw the presentation of this master, I was immediately very interested, and I thought, why not, and read the curriculum.
Right. So you are Swiss. Who else is Swiss nationality? Three of you. Okay, right. Yeah. Okay, so we have a good mix, right? Italian, French, Swiss, Polish, British. Am I missing one? Finnish, right?
It's a bit different than last year.
Yeah.
It was Swiss, Italian, French.
Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. Okay. So it changes a bit different. Very European this year. We had years when actually we were 50% from Asian countries. That is changing, it seems. So Okay, so then let me go back to the presentation. I had a few remarks here, so now let's just, because the curriculum is of course important for you. So you have mandatory courses that you must visit, right? Starting next week. And overall, you will have to obtain 120 credits for those 4 semesters, 30 per semester. And of those 120, 50 are for the mandatory or compulsory courses, right? So when I tell you in a moment. Then you have 4 credits that you must take. And it's actually, our universities do not want to train people in engineering only, but they also want that you become open to humanities, to ethical aspects, I don't know. But you should take 4 credits in the School of Management or Humanities during the 1st or 2nd semester. Those you have to take, but you have, I show you the choice later what you have to do there. Elective courses, around 20 credits here, which you can basically pick and choose, and again I will show you in a moment. These 3 colleagues from the 3rd semester, or soon to be 3rd semester, just 4 colleagues, sorry, just told you they are basically all doing the internship now. That counts for 8 credits. And finally, we have also a mandatory semester project, which you can, which you have to do in the 3rd semester at PSI, but you can also talk to your supervisors and ask them whether they have another interesting project. It's usually more work than a lecture. So just to be warned, but if you talk to Wong Song, to Ascari, for example, and ask them whether they have a scientifically sound project, you can also, instead of taking courses from here, you can also clear 8 credits with a project, with an additional project. Anytime in semester 1, 2, or 3. So this is a messy table, but that's the table that you would find in our study booklet. So what is important here, these are the mandatory courses, right? And the courses you have to take this semester is physics of nuclear reactors. I start teaching that next week. Together with my colleague Mathieu, who is not here today. You have radiation and reactor experiments, which will be introduced to you later because we need to distribute you into work groups. So that's why we take you to the reactor, and you have the booklets and stuff already, right?
It seems like the new generation doesn't want books anymore. They want only PDFs, so we didn't print it.
Oh, okay. Well, fine for me. So it's ecologically sound, right? I mean, that's a good idea. We have radiation biology protection applications that is given by a bunch of colleagues here. And then, as I said, you actually have to take at least these entrepreneurship courses, well, which I show in a moment. 2nd semester then would be at ETH, and there you have topics like, I have to be careful, the nuclear fuels and materials, reliability engineering and quantitative risk analysis, technology and safety of nuclear power plants, as opposed to the physics. That's then Professor Manera. And then you also have in the PSI part topics like decommissioning nuclear computations lab, where you learn to work with nuclear software, fuel cycle and waste management, and so on. So these are the mandatory courses you have to cover in those 3 semesters, over those next 3 semesters. And these are the elective courses, and those marked in blue are the ones that you could potentially take this semester. Now, what you will also find out, you will have a bunch of conflicts in this semester, so it cannot be avoided. And I have a timetable, a suggested timetable that would fit the mandatory and the elective courses together, more or less, right? Cannot be avoided. But here you have topics like energy conversion and renewable energy, introduction to medical radiation physics, if you want to look in the medicine aspect of nuclear, particle accelerators, just to name a few here. It's even continuing here. So as I said, I think you just read through this later. Yeah, the 3 electives. This total of 8 credits here could actually be, so those you can basically pick from any kind of, any course at EPFL from the curriculum. I think I didn't make that quite clear, sorry about that. That's my mistake. It's 20 plus 8, right? It's missing on this slide. 20, right, sorry. Elective courses 20, 12 of those must be from that list I just showed you, and the other 8, you can basically pick any master course in engineering or science at EPFL, if you want to, right? I personally would recommend to stick to these lists here and just pick them from these here, because they are likely most close to what you are studying. But if you say, I always wanted to do group theory and mathematics, be my guest, right? I mean, this is just the first thing that came to my mind, because I know nothing about it. So that's, but it's fine, right? You can go to the math school and take a course there or two. It's possible. The question is, why would you do that? Well, I guess you can say, either I pick something that is nuclear engineering, because that is closest to my topic. Another elective which reinforces your strengths. If you're already a chemical engineer, you probably want to take something from chemical engineering, because you know that you will score high. It's another strategy. Or one where that strengthens where you believe you're weak in. It's a bit of a risky game, right? So if you're weak and you stay weak, then you walk out with a bad grade. So it's a matter of strategy, and I do not recommend. I mean, you can talk this through with your tutors. If you are uncertain, then you ask your tutors what they think for advice. I happily give advice and say, well, good choice, or so again, up to you, right? Now, what is important, you will start your semester next week. And you have 2 weeks time to walk around from between different lectures. So the first 2 weeks, you do not have to make your final decision. So use those weeks wisely to maybe check out a few different lectures. And then after 2 weeks, make a sophisticated decision, right? And so, but September 29th, that would be Friday, today in 2 weeks, I think you must have made the final decision. So try to use the next 2 weeks to scoot around a bit and see what other lectures are like. Exam session will then be from middle of January to early February, 3 weeks. There's a deadline to unregister to an exam, which is November 24th. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you fail. And one thing, you have a good start into the semester, because Monday next week is free. Don't come here. EPFL is closed, right? So you start on Tuesday. People come here, right? Because it's a, what is it called, Jeune Fédéral? It's a specific holiday of this canton in Switzerland. So it's only here, I think. Is it only here? Yeah. Okay, so these non-technical credits, I already went on about that. Now here is the timetable now, and now it becomes, of course, more relevant. So what you see, these are courses that take place on Monday, and none of them is mandatory. So Monday you could basically choose, right? So, and from possibly these courses like numerics for fluid structures and electromagnetics, nuclear interaction from reactors to stars. So a colleague from PSI who lectures that, modeling optimization of energy systems. It's getting more serious on Tuesday. On Tuesday afternoon, we will meet again at, I think, 2 o'clock. It's somewhere hidden behind this. It's about 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock, right? Yeah. I would have to look it up. It's hidden behind here the time. So that would be the physics of nuclear reactors. So you all I expect you all to be there. On Wednesday, you have the reactor class in the morning from 8 to 12. So you're meeting at the reactor, and you should be done by lunchtime. And you have an afternoon with me or with Mathieu, my colleague, on the physics of nuclear reactors again. So that's a day entirely dedicated to physics of reactors, right? So that's taken. You will not be able to squeeze anything else in that day. Last year, we had so many students that we had to do the reactor lab on 2 days. This year, we will just manage to squeeze you in, just so. So that means Tuesday morning, you can pick from other lectures. Thursday is again lectures that are all electives. It's plasma physics, radiation detection, image processing. All these are part of our curriculum, and you can pick from those. Introduction to particle accelerators, for example. And Friday afternoon, you have again one mandatory lecture, that's the radiation biology. So Friday afternoon is also blocked for you in this semester by a mandatory course. And of course, that limits your choice when it comes to these courses of entrepreneurship, management, and humanities, right? So basically, here are the blocks that you must be in your mandatory lectures. So anything that is on this side, you simply cannot take because I expect you to be in the mandatory courses. But anything else you can in principle take, principles of finance. You know, I manage a division, I never took a finance course, so I always wonder whether I should take one too. That's one thing. There's one machine learning might overlap here, but you have more time on Thursday, for example, principles of microeconomics, foundations of digital humanities, performance management, always a good thing, right? Yeah, intercultural presentation skills. No idea what that is, but might be interesting, right? So venture capital could be interesting if you want to build a nuclear startup to see how that goes. So you see the choice, right? And at the end, you have to do 4 credits. And if you say, I want to do all of them this semester, then well, pick something, or you do 2 now and 2 at ETH. Up to you, right? But then you would have to study the ETH course block 2 for next semester. Yeah, there's more data science for business, applied data analysis. Again, here you are basically blocked again on Friday afternoon. As I said, it's really maybe worth going to some of those and see whether they are interesting or not, right? So that could be a possible timetable, right? Or, well, it's not a possible one because it all overlaps. But you see, of course, that even with the elective courses for the nuclear part, they overlap, right? So you cannot take nuclear interaction and energy conversion at the same time. So you have to choose. Nuclear fusion, plasma physics is a good choice. So I would recommend they should go there. Lots and I see so for obvious reasons. So here, this one basically is out because it overlaps with the physics of nuclear reactors. And similarly here, you will have to choose, right? Whether you want to do image processing, hydraulic turbomachinery, or radiation detection because they all overlap. The particle accelerators apparently is not so much overlapping. Yes.
Two courses overlap,
yeah,
and watch like the recording later, or something that's not.
I'm not even quite sure whether everybody records. Okay. So to begin with, do you know that whether people record?
It really depends on the professor.
Yeah.
Usually, because they did those classes during COVID, they either have the recordings from back then that they still publish, or we record them for the new year. It's really depends, and sometimes you just have to use the PDF. Okay. So you have to take yourself.
Yeah, in principle, yes. I mean, of course, you can do that. I like to see people in the lecture. I mean, I have terrible recordings from those 3 years of COVID, and I never want to see them again. So I don't know. I like in-person participation, but oh yeah, it's possible if you're then daring enough to walk into the exam and say, yeah, I can do this. It's fine. Right?
Just like if you have 2 courses overlapping. Okay.
In principle, yes, but check out, that is why I'm saying, check out the next 2 weeks and talk to the professor whether they offer that service, right? Because last semester we have not recorded, right?
I did.
Yeah, you did, yeah, okay, see, okay.
I answer a bit for that. We go to the habits of people, pretty much. Doesn't mean that the recording is good, doesn't mean that the recording is sufficient. So you should discuss it with the professor, and especially because there are the classes which are, I mean, especially for elective, these are typical ex-cathedra classes, like teaching in front of you some content. But for all the electives, we have a series of classes where it's something we do together. And then if you cannot be there, you have to get organized. And so from my experience, let's say that the rate of failing is higher when people are not in class.
Yeah, that is certainly true. That is certainly true. Right? Yeah. I mean, when I have people that I never saw in my class, I'm not saying that I'm suspicious, and I also had positive surprises that people were actually fantastic and just knew everything. But the general observation is, if you haven't been there, you are missing out on things.
But you can test for the first week, and you look at the video, you see what you think about it.
Yeah.
It's doable.
Okay, so third semester. So then third semester you will be at PSI, right? And now even more important, and that is of course a matter of anxiety, is how do you find your internship in the time in between? Because you basically yet next year you have no break. So don't plan vacation, it's not gonna happen, right? So you're basically, you will have a short vacation in winter, basically, January to February. And then the semester starts again from February to end of May, the second semester. And then essentially you have exams, and then you would start your 3 months of internship. So maybe you have a couple of weeks in between. We have made it a bit easier to find internships. Again, I asked these 4 guys, was it difficult to find something, or?
In the case of the people at Expo, really don't, because so Expo is
absorbing, yeah.
Electricity, the biggest one, and it just straight up contacts you saying, come this day, register, come this day, and we'll attribute the semester topics, the internship topics. So really not a problem. Typically, there's a media forum which is very straightforward, list of jobs, apply. And in the end, for we were 24, I think everyone who wanted an internship had an internship.
Yeah. Which is great, because that was different like 5-10 years ago. So I must say, but as I said, the Nuclear Forum is a organization of the nuclear power plants, and they manage this internship platform where beginning of next year, or maybe already in December, we will start putting offers of possible internships on. And we had quite interesting ones from France, also from foreign countries. Yes.
Also to say that I think next year, Dionysius, which is the head of the physical department in Oxford for the nuclear division, is planning to do the same.
Yeah.
So I think there will be plenty.
Yeah. So I'm not so worried anymore. I think, Fabian, you probably also maybe say a few words about that, right? So industry has been very open to this lately, and I think you will all find a job, but of course you still need to apply, right? So, and I think December, January, we will start putting announcements on there. Dionysius probably will organize a meeting at Expo. So I think that should be fine. I'm not so worried anymore about this. And then you start the third semester at PSI. It's coursework and also semester projects together with my scientist colleagues at PSI. And then the fourth semester is the master thesis dedicated to that. 25 weeks or so, 6 months of research. And you need to have already 80 credits. Ideally, of course, you have the full 90 credits by that time, because it would be the end of your studies. And I have one thing here to say. So to avoid confusion, the master thesis is not paid. Internships are paid, and the Swiss power plants actually play quite decently, I must say. Your colleagues can tell you more over the apero, right? I'm not speaking numbers now. For the master thesis, and I say this now because it has led to confusion. If you decide to stay at ETH or EPFL, you will not get a dime, right? Universities don't pay for master thesis. At PSI, we have decided to at least pay a bit of reimbursement, because you have to travel back and forth, and there's no place you can go shopping anywhere at PSI, that we pay 400 francs a month, not as a salary, but as a reimbursement of costs. So that's a deal. I'm not saying that that's the best reason to come to PSI. There are many other good reasons to go to PSI. We have a great research infrastructure, but at least it makes life a bit easier sometimes. And I understand how having not much money works. So I have been a student long enough. So just so you know, but I want to avoid this confusion. If you decide to do your master thesis here at EPFL, we cannot pay you. It's simply EPFL rule, and it's very, very strict. The internship can be basically anything. I'm not going through this. It's very flexible. So it can be completed in a nuclear power plant, industrial companies. We have people that went to a nuclear medicine ward in a hospital or radiology departments. It can be routine work or smaller project work, and typically 3 months, right? And we have had people that actually, you spent a year, but was it an internship or, yeah?
Me?
Yeah.
5 months only, but someone else from the batch can spend 1 year in Vienna.
Right, yeah, and we are IEA, and we also had one person that spent a year at Électricité de France, EDF. So it is possible, right? That you just basically say, I spent a whole year working at a power plant, EDF, I don't know, whatever, and then you come back for the next semester. We have had that. It's also not a bad choice, right? And many people then return often to that place because they already know them. We do not expect an internship report, unless, of course, your employer asks you to write a report. If Axpo says they want a report, then that's fine, but I will not expect a report. And we have had quite a few times that this internship can be developed into a master thesis, right? Or can lead to a subsequent master thesis. So you do your internship next summer, you go to PSI, you decide, do I want to stay at PSI or do I maybe want to go back to Axpo, to Nagra, and then you talk to me and we try to develop a master thesis topic together with that company. Because what I expect, of course, if a company asks you, do you want to do your master thesis here, I expect a minimum scientific standard. Experience shows that if you do your master's thesis in industry, the chances that you will be left alone with that are higher than at PSI. People in industry are always stressed. They always have too much to do. And so the supervision might not be at the level that you would expect in a research institute. So it's a trade-off, right? But again, you can share your experiences also. And I personally would still recommend PSI, obviously for selfish reasons, because I work at PSI. Yeah, you will find out. Talk to people, investigate what you can do, you see in your internship and so on. Yeah, PSI has nice tools. If you want to, you can work at the hot laboratory. People always say Homer Simpson. I don't say that, right? So, I mean, but this is where you really work with radioactive materials, right? And if you are well-behaved, people also let you work at those hot cells, as we call them, right? We have a large spallation neutron source. They are very interesting also for experiments. This monster here is the largest containment test facility of the world, where we actually study containment safety phenomena like they happened or like they were relevant for Fukushima, for the stress tests past Fukushima. So, and they are very happy to actually also host students. So that is just a few ideas. Or you go to the radiopharmaceutical or to the proton therapy. I've had quite a few interesting master theses that were done at the proton therapy. It's radiation, right? It's radiation transport you're looking at. So the methodology is actually quite close to what we will also study here. Right? It's not neutrons, it's gamma radiation, or in this case it's proton radiation, but still the methodology behind it is actually quite similar, right? So it doesn't matter whether you are irradiate a nuclear reactor or a tumor in that respect. And then there's, of course, the SPC, the Swiss Plasma Center, as another viable place, right? I mean, if you say your heart belongs to fusion, then you should talk to Kwang as a tutor, or you talk to Ambrogio in the lecture. He's the head of the SPC, and then you pick a fusion topic. Also perfectly possible and perfectly fine with me. Or you stay here at EPFL in this little reactor you will see in a moment after Fabienne, and then we will start walking because I talk too much. And anyway, so yeah, I think I end here. Valerie, you have met for all administrative questions. questions, you can approach, of course. Here's the name of my senior staff here at EPFL, whom you will all meet, or I've already met here. Annalisa's Manera's address is this one here, so if you have already inquiries about Zurich, the second semester, you can talk to her. Okay, so I think this is it so far. Lots of information. And maybe you want to digest, or you can ask questions now, of course. Everybody's baffled and stunned. Yes, please.
I didn't get what you said about the fact that there is a course that we have only on Tuesday morning instead of Thursday, and it was about the courses. The one in the plant.
Yeah. Okay, what I said here is basically that last semester we had distributed the group on Tuesdays and Wednesday because we were too many and we just could not fit everybody into one day. And that is why it appears here on Tuesday and it appears on Wednesday. But for you it is only Wednesday, so you can forget about Tuesday. This is not, I think it's still in the list of lectures, I suppose, but you can cross it out, right? It's not relevant. You all will be in the reactor on Wednesday. Okay, so that means the Tuesday morning is free for you and you can pick, yeah, courses like, well, anything that would be here, right? So, okay, but this is probably why we have this gap here, because it was filled with this one too, but now it's basically you can see whatever is available on Tuesday.
Or work, sorry, not sleep, work. I work on Tuesday.
Other questions? Yes.
So the semester at ATH will finish in May or
typically end of May or early June.
The exams are also in May then?
No, in June. I think usually you have a two week in between a preparation phase. You guys know that better. How is it at ETH?
Not at ETH on this one.
Okay.
Basically, at ETH, some exam starts for the last course of the semester, and then you got 1 week before the proper exam starts. And it goes over a period of 2 to 3 weeks.
But it's in June, basically.
In June, yeah.
Yeah, I had 3 exams in August.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
Yeah, it's like with nuclear engineering, it's special. The compulsory ones, they try to keep them really short after the semester or just at the end of the semester. And then if you take like the additional credits, which are non-core courses for nuclear engineering, they can be splintered throughout the normal exam period, you know, at the ETH in around August.
So it's basically during the intern.
Yes.
That has happened to you, yeah?
Yeah. You have to take a day off, basically.
Okay.
Except if
yeah.
Today.
You just need to tell them, if you take your job, you just need to tell them, look, I have these days and I don't think there will be any problem with your employer.
Yes, they were very flexible.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Not a problem.
Right.
Okay.
But I think it is more clear cut at EPFL, I must say. I like the EPFL regulation better, but for ETH, I'm not responsible, so. Yeah. You had a question, and then
there was 2 exam sessions in Zurich, so the one in June and the one in August.
Yeah.
And then while selecting the course, you have to be careful, like which one has the exam in August and which one.
Okay. Yes.
The 6-month thesis has to fit in the 4th semester period, or it can be started anytime.
I think you can start a bit later if you. I mean, we have a bit of flexibility. At the beginning, I remember, it was very unflexible. You only had a short window in which you could start, and now I think it's not a problem if you need 2 or 3 months more. You can also start in May, I think. But ask Valerie, because that is relevant, and I'm not quite sure. We usually see that people, semester's over, you take your exams in January, and then people start middle of February or early March, typically.
So the third semester, what are more or less the dates when we start and when you finish with the exam?
The third semester. The third.
We recently received the program, if you want. Basically, because you have to fit the 3 months internship starting in the 1st of July, the course they start on the 1st of October.
Yeah, we are shifting them a bit to the back. That is because we usually, normally the courses would start in September already, but because you're on your internship, that doesn't work. And that is why the PSI courses are shifted, compressed to October to December. So we basically, the coursework is done by the end of December, before Christmas. And we usually also have the exams then, right? So the exams are still before Christmas. So at least you have a Christmas break, but that's why the third semester is dense, right? It's really dense and compact, and it's a lot of work, I think. Again, I never went through the program, so I guess I don't know. Yeah, you survived, so I think.
But then in January, you've got the semester project to hand over.
Yeah, and that we usually postponed a little bit. I remember in my first year, actually, I wanted also that to have by Christmas, and then everybody protested. And I didn't roll back. And now I have decided that we actually have submission, I think, by the end of January, I think, which is fair. So for the semester project that you start in the third semester, submission deadline is only the year in January then. So we give you a bit more time for that.
It's useful. You like having this extra time.
Yeah. Other questions? Okay, so yes.
What does the semester project concern? I don't know if I lost this information.
So what we usually do is we invite. I didn't mention that. It's good. I know it's a good question. So next year, typically in May, we invite you already to PSI for a day. So we pick a day of the second semester when we say, come to PSI that day. I will be there, will be welcoming you again. And then my colleagues will present to you ideas for semester projects and master projects. And then if you say, well, PSI is a place for me, then you should already, and then you should get in touch with the contact names that we give you, right? So scientists from my division usually, or from the radiopharmacy or proton therapy, could be others at PSI. And then you get in touch with them and try to negotiate an interesting topic, right? And typically we meet in May, I think. It's typically May. But that will come, and I invite you around. Probably invitation comes in March or April, so that you are prepared for that day. That's the idea. We usually also show you possibilities then at EPFL or ETH. But of course, PSI is, of course, the place where we can absorb most of the people, right? In principle, we are ready to take each one of you at PSI for a master's thesis. We have the capacities.
Something that's cool is that you should know that we fight for you. Labs want to have you. We're happy to have you in our labs. I mean, if somebody's not happy to have you, there's a problem.
No, I mean, that is why we have this session where we offer topics, right? Of course, the topics fit into our research portfolio, let's say, and then you will be fully integrated into the work, basically, right? Into the normal research work. Other questions? We will have more time to ask later, so I mean, I'll still be with you for the next few hours. So, Fabienne, do you want to, I just put your presentation on? So, right, of course. Yeah. It's longer. So,
how does this work?
This you can clip.
Okay.
Somewhere. The other one just goes in the
Chat.
Also use my pointer.
Okay, yes, thanks. So, good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see you all today. So my name is Fabienne Chavla. I'm from the nuclear industry. As Andrea said, you are probably going to interact with us during your studies for internship or master, or even later or so as a job. And so we thought it would be a good idea that to get to know each other already now, and just want to present you the nuclear industry in Switzerland, what are the possibilities, and what are the contacts that you can have with us. So I'm working at Swiss Nuclear. Swiss Nuclear is the association from the nuclear power plant operator, and we are coordinating a bit between the different nuclear power plants in research, education, politics, international representation. And we do this job for the nuclear power plants in Switzerland. So we have in Switzerland 4 nuclear power plants, or maybe I should say 3 now, because Mühlberg here has been shut down a few years ago now, and since the beginning of September it has no more nuclear fuel inside. So it's being decommissioned, and the 3 other nuclear power plants, as you see, are in the north of Switzerland, in the German-speaking part of Switzerland, which is also important for you to be aware of, because German is important for to learn German for working in a nuclear power plant. Of course, they are also opening a bit more in the last years, but still German is very central, and we are going to study in Zurich and at PSI, so try to make an effort to learn also German when you are living there. It's really important.
It's not that hard.
I'm not. It is very hard, but I'm also not a native German speaker, and I'm surviving also, so it's possible.
Yeah, it is possible. So also it makes it differently, but it is really important. I mean, you know, I have to be fluent in German to actually find a job there, but I noticed that most of the students that actually now have studied here and then went on to a Swiss career have all learned quite decent German. Right?
Yeah.
So, and none of them was German. So I mean, we had mostly French and Italian. So, for example, so it is possible. That's what I'm saying.
There's a nice language center at EPFL and I think at ETH as well.
Yeah, and I think at PSI there is also.
Because English first for this year, but German as well.
Yeah.
And also just for you to be aware of, like, all the documentation in the nuclear power plants is in German. So it's really important if you want to check the reports and all. You need really to know a bit of German. But as I said, it is possible to learn, and it's
if you want to learn Swiss German.
Well, it comes also.
It is also possible. Right?
It is also possible, yeah. So we have 3 operating nuclear power plants. The 2 reactors in Betznau, which is also the oldest operating nuclear power plant. 2 relatively small reactors, and then the 2 bigger ones in Gösgen and Leibstadt. And maybe just so Leibstadt, Betznau, and PSI is just somewhere here, so it's a bit all in the same place. So why do we have nuclear energy in Switzerland? Nuclear energy is about 1/3 of the electricity production in Switzerland, and for the Swiss people from you remember this advertisement from last year, energy is scarce. We are in a situation we are much more conscious about where the energy and the electricity comes from, and in this insight, nuclear energy is particularly important. Of course, as a low carbon footprint energy, and it contributes also to the stable energy load. This is mostly important in winter, of course. You see here the production of the different kind of energy in Switzerland. In yellow is the nuclear energy. We produce a bit less in summer because the nuclear power plant are being shut down for revision, so to change the fuel, and usually it takes a month per nuclear power plant. But then it is able to produce in winter when the demand of electricity is high, and it's about 40 to 50% of the electricity production from Switzerland during winter time. And Andreas, you are welcome also to send this presentation to the students. So this is a bit who is doing what in Switzerland in terms of companies. So of course we have the production with the 3 nuclear power plants, Leibstadt, Betznau, Gösgen, and then the utilities that are owning these nuclear power plants, and they have also lots of internship jobs and expo we've heard of already. But there is also BKW in Bern and Alpic, which is located in Olten and in Lausanne. And so this is for the production, and of course the waste management is also a big part of the field. And for that we have 2 companies, Zwilag, which means Zwischenlager for. So this is the place where the nuclear fuel goes until the deep repository will be built, and it's stored in this place in Zwilag. It's also close to PSI.
People have a chance to visit that. It's quite impressive. You see this, what, 7
yes.
tall transport cars, right? Did you go inside? I think you did.
Not yet, we go in PSI.
Of course.
But it's located
you will
I think it's located good.
Würmlingen. Oh, yeah.
Once again.
Yes. And Nagra, which is also not too far from, it's located in Baden, is the company that is developing this deep repository, and it's about 100 people working there. And of course, I mean, there is education at EPFL, ETH, PSI. I added here the Nuclear Technikerschule, which is the school that is giving the education for the nuclear power plant operators and all the people that are working in the operation. And of course, the regulators. So this is a Bundesamt, the Federal Office of Energy, and NZ, which is the regulators for the nuclear power plants, nuclear energy. Just a few numbers so that you have a bit an overview on what we are talking about. There are more than 2,000 people working in the industry, so in this company that I just showed you before. Amongst them, about 100 physicists and nuclear engineers. And as Andreas also said, lots of people are relatively at the end of their career and are going to retire in the coming years. And so we have a big need for new employees. About 400 people will get into retirement the next years, but also because with long-term operation and the field is a bit growing in the coming years. And just what can you do in a nuclear power plant? To give you an overview, of course, there is operation with plant operators, reactor operators, and all. Radiation expert, of course, radiation officer, protection. There are lots of other jobs and other people that work here, from chemists, but also psychologists, firefighter, I mean, it's a kind of a small city in itself. So, and of course, for you, most interesting is the technical expertise, so safety analysis, to make sure that the nuclear power plant is safe in case of an accident or earthquake or anything. That goes also with risk manager and also fuel manager. So what kind of fuel you need to buy, to how you organize your reactor and all this. So that's a bit an overview of some interesting job in the nuclear power plant. A few examples also of people who are currently working in the nuclear power plants, and some of them have been not so long ago at your place. So so Laura Perez, she did also her master here a few years ago, and I think she's
the first female reactor
yes,
operator
yeah.
in Switzerland. So It was a quite impressive career she made.
Yeah, I think she realized that she was interested to the more technical part and understanding how things work, and so she started her education as a reactor operator after her master, and now she's soon to be engineer nuclear. Yeah, and I mean,
Carl is also one of our students.
Carl, yeah. He's finished what, 10 years ago?
6 years.
6. Yeah. So working in BETS now.
Department head, so made a career, so it works, right? So I mean, and I must say that what I find impressive is that we have 6, 7 examples that have only made the degrees in the last 4 or 5 years, and they all have already been climbing up on the career ladder. So it's a good time to start, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Yeah. Of course, in the nuclear fuel department, chemistry also, there are some people a bit further from your study. And finally, just a bit how can you get in contact with us? Of course, I mean, you'll have to do an internship, and there you can check on the Nuclear Forum's website, where they give all the internship that you can see. But there are also other events. We are also active in how do you say, job fair, yes. We are actually coming here in a month at the EPFL forum, and at ETH also about in a month. You can always organize a visit in one of the nuclear power plants in Gösgen or in Leibstadt. I know you are going also with Annalisa Manera, I think, but also privately you can always ask to organize a visit. And we are also happy if you are interested, if you see the internship is, you have good topics and you are interested to go further. We always have possibility of doing a master also in a nuclear power plant. And what's also new coming from next year is that we are offering a grant, 1 grant per year for a PhD. So if you are interested to go further in your study after you master, then you might apply also for this grant. And that will be done in collaboration with PSI. And yes, at the end, some website where you can find some more information about nuclear energy in Switzerland and networking possibilities. So kernenergie.ch and NUCNEC are some general information on nuclear energy, Swiss nuclear energy. If you want to do some networking, a good place to go is at the SGK, so the Kernfachleute, that's the Society for the Nuclear Energy People in Switzerland. They have also a young generation group and also a group for women in nuclear. Nuclear Forum has also lots of information. It's an important nuclear information platform. And at the end, also Swiss Nuclear, you can find some more information on nuclear energy. So that's from my side. Thank you for your time, and well, enjoy your study. Good luck, and yeah.
Questions to Fabian. Stay with us for a moment, or
I can stay for a little bit, yeah. So if there is a yes.
Just a general question: does Swiss plan to build more power plants in the future? Or...
So no, we had a votation in 2017 to phase out nuclear energy, but so the law say that we are allowed to operate the reactor as long as they are safe enough, and so now we are planning an operation time of 60 years, but it is also possible that we are going further, and then at the end it's up to the people to decide if maybe they want to come back to that decision. Yeah.
If I may, when you talk to the electric utilities, they not officially, but tell you when we will build new power plants. So it is assumed that in the future somewhere, the law might change.
That's very many assumptions, yes.
Yes, yes.
So I think, of course, we will, in our courses, we will be looking at nuclear technology that is advanced, not just light water reactors, because it's the interesting stuff. Right? It's difficult to speculate. I mean, there's already people who want to start an initiative to actually get this law deleted from the Swiss law. Will it work? I don't know. If you have a few cold winters with no electricity or the first blackouts, people will change their mind and we will see that.
I think also a game changer might be also the development of SMR technology in the surrounding countries. And depending on how well it goes there, maybe also Swiss people will say might be interesting to have this technology also in Switzerland.
If you read the newspapers, there's some nuclear that every day.
Yeah.
Recently, there was a Swiss study coming from Zurich.
Yes. Yeah.
On that, it's every day.
Yes.
So as for now, there are no big projects in SMR or fourth generation reactors.
Not from the industry. No.
We're looking at it at PSI.
Yes. Yeah.
We are consider, as a matter of fact, it's more like a side note, but I'm not quite sure whether it's going to work. But we are working together with a reactor company, and we are investigating whether we could build a research reactor at PSI, because that is not forbidden by law. It would be a small modular reactor, possibly molten salt, but this is all I can say, right? So I mean, it's not very official, but we are now in discussion with the authorities, and we are looking at can we license a research reactor in Switzerland. So maybe in a year I know more, and maybe you will be the first to work on the next reactor in Switzerland. I don't know. Right now it seems like it's far away, but who knows? Sometimes things develop very quickly.
Yes.
On the nuclear forum, there are only offer for nuclear power plants internship, or also in other places.
Well, it's open also to NAGRA, so the SWILAG also, and so it's not only the nuclear power plants, and also some other
industry. We had also some from French and even from German companies that are. Germany has phased out, but of course the supply chain is all the industry is still there, right? So, and I want to say we had a couple of people that went to Germany to a waste disposal company. So as I said, it will trickle in end of this year, beginning of next year, and then you will see it will what comes in there. But it was a nice mix last year.
I think so too. Yes.
And to make the internship in a nuclear power plants, are there any requirements of German?
It depends on the nuclear power plants. I think mostly for internship, not especially. Yeah.
We like to actually speak a bit of German. I have to admit it was in the past. We often had that discussion. I always said, look, these people will learn German to an extent. And how was your experience? I don't know.
In Nuremberg, I had one colleague who spoke English. Nobody spoke neither English nor French. And if they can speak German and not Swiss German, it's a chance.
Okay.
So better.
Look at it as an opportunity, right? So it's a challenge. So
but yeah, it is a challenge. But
we have to admit it's special with the back in that case.
Yeah.
They prefer that you speak Bernese, not just Swiss German.
Yes.
I'm struggling with that accent, so
If I may, it might be contrary to the message we want to get across, because German is absolutely, you need to learn it. But in Leibstadt, we're testing the use of DeepL for the traduction of documents, etc., to allow non-German speakers to work in some planned documents. So English will get you by, but if you want to stay for long term and you want to have even the minimum interaction with your colleagues, they want to speak German at the break, because that's their language and they're not going to switch to English. So you can go by with English, but I will not advise it.
For the studies, it's not a problem, right? But beyond that, if you plan a longer future here in this country, it's helpful. Right?
If you understand the importance of the coffee break.
Yes.
Or as I say,
it's Nuni. But again, it's evolving also, and it's opening a bit more to English-speaking people. But yeah, as you said, if you want to, at the end, if you want really to stay in Switzerland, then it will come also automatically because
Yes.
yeah.
Just one technical error. Can we have these slides?
Yes, sure. Yeah, you can. Send them. Yes.
Just for
Sure. Yeah, and don't hesitate to contact us also if you have questions.
Also, how long do we need?
I can 15 minutes. I'll go through it.
Okay, so are you still capable of absorbing a little bit, because Vincent is going to give you some instructions for next week, because this is important. Preparation of the reactor experiments, because you need to prepare a little bit for that, and Vincent is going to take you through this. Then we take you to the reactor, about half an hour. Show you the reactor. First glance. Yeah. Yeah, no. Okay, just to make sure, so that not everything is beer.
Oh, but in the same way, it's Switzerland, so expect beers.
All right, just stay tuned for another 10-15 minutes, because this is important now just for next week, because
yes. So it's important that it's not complicated. So I guess you're tired like me, and I'm speaking, and you have to follow. So let's make it short. So I'm Vincent Lamirand, Vincent, which is because Vincent for any non-French speaking, well, whatever. So I'll be presenting on behalf of my colleagues, Mathieu and Oscar, who's just there. We are 3 out of the 4 researchers of the lab with Andreas. You'll learn to, work with us, see what we do, and especially for this class that we do all together because we are not too many of 3, basically. So why am I talking about that right now is because there's a few things that you should know to start next week on Wednesday. Be ready, basically. We want you to be ready to come. So in terms of content, I'll go through the organization and everything that goes along, the list of experiments, how we proceed. Nothing complicated, just please grant me a few minutes of your time. And just to tell you to keep going with the listening, at the end I'll tell you stuff that might be of interest for your grades. Just saying. It's working. So whatever works. So here, of course, I forgot to change that. It's on Wednesdays only because we didn't know how many you would be. It's always at the last minute we know how many you are. So obviously Wednesdays only. We said it, not Tuesdays. Here again, I've changed all of that. Damn it, is it the right presentation so that it's making this mistake? Well, okay. And yeah, that's just because I copy-pasted. Wonderful. So Wednesdays and 6 groups of 2 or 3. And actually, I would like to know if there are exchange students here. 1, 2. Okay, I'll have another question with respect to numbers just after, because this will change that. What you should know is that we have 14 weeks at EPFL of teaching for the first semester, I mean any semester actually. And in the case of the reactor experiments, for you it's 13 weeks of experiments and the last week oral exam.
Just before Christmas.
Yes, then we can tell you, well done and enjoy Christmas. Just saying, for a large portion of you, it's your first oral exam, so you'll freak out. This is just normal because you will be in front of, let's say, well, okay, you'll see, of people asking you questions, and so don't freak out too much in the sense that we are not here to make you feel uncomfortable or whatever. We are just making an assessment of how you understood things. And for this class especially, half of the grade is during the semester with the experiments and the reports. So just before Christmas, you're not in too much trouble. It's half of the grade only remaining. Okay?
Never had an oral exam.
Wonderful. Then not too much stress. It will be fine. Just we might be grilling you a bit, but if you have difficult questions, it's a good sign. It means that you've passed the easy ones. Okay. So yeah, something to know is that among the 13 experiments, we'll be merging groups when it's on the reactor. if it wants to move. So this is the list of experiments. There's a long list and we'll go through it, and basically at the end exam. In terms of execution, well, the first rule is please come prepared. Meaning that you're reading the description, the notice at home beforehand. Because the first thing I'll ask you when you come is explain me the experiment. That's the first thing we'll do. Please tell me what you understood from what you've read. And if you've not read it, we'll have to start from the beginning, waste your time, meaning less time to discuss your results, meaning that you'll have more trouble with your report. So come ready. So we'll be assisting you for this semester. We'll be, since I said 6 groups of about 3 students, there will be Oscar and me mainly. Matthew will take care more of the correction of the reports, and there will be also 2 PhD students helping. So anyway, we'll be around. There will be plenty of people to help you around. During the experiments, well, you'll start the experiments, collect data, perform analysis, and this is important so that you can get the results and that we can discuss them. The idea is that you're going home with already the results. If you want to have the results at home, it's just a pain. The idea is to do as much as possible during the class. And of course, when you're done, you learn with that. We're working in a controlled area, meaning you make sure of cleaning, okay? No remaining dishes on the table. I mean, you take care of your stuff.
No dishes anyways.
No, yeah, just like at home.
No eating inside.
Of course. So that's actually where it comes. The masks are not mandatory and provided. We see that I missed the point. That's if coming back, who knows? So basically, you'll have a CamiPro badge access. So meaning your CamiPro is your EPFL card, for those who don't know. So what I love about this card is that it can both grant you access to the reactor and buy you beers. That's sad. So please don't lose it. It's expensive. And also we'll take all your numbers and grant you the access. They will be...
The next week you should have that, right? I mean,
yes.
So I think you printed and validated. And
for the first day, we'll make sure that it's fine. But afterwards, you'll be totally autonomous. So 1 dosimeter per group at the entrance. I'll come back to what the dosimeter is, and you learn it. At the end of your class, you'll need to record your dose in the logbook. I mean, basically, what's most important for you in terms of safety is that no eating or drinking. Don't touch everywhere. Don't put it in your mouth, please. Just, you know. So meaning that also jackets, bags, all of that, it's staying in the locker room. We don't want you to bring whatever crap we have in the lab home. In terms of radioactivity, I mean, chances that you have a radioactive source around, it's zip, because actually we can measure it. But you know, there are some chemicals that you find in any industry, any lab, that you don't want to bring home, like cadmium, for instance, or lead, you know.
So the cadmium is one of the nasty ones.
So yeah, you don't want lead or cadmium at home, so please make sure. So yeah, of course you can go to the loo, so you can go out, but you should inform so that we know you're not inside. So all these rules will be on the Moodle page. I guess you don't know the Moodle page, all of you, yet, which is the page for all the classes where you have all the documents. You'll have access to everything there, okay? About the group structure, this is where it's interesting. Do we have François-Henri Souris today? Good, so I know you're not in bracket anymore. And Sébastien Baudier, plus two people in exchange. So meaning that I will need to increase.
Let's look at this. Does everybody here have to find their name?
Yeah, you should find your name, and exchange students, I don't think you're in there.
Yeah.
So I'll add one here, one there, possibly. Okay. So what it means for me is that we know next week is the first week. We'll take you by the hands. It's fine if you're not totally ready, etc. You learn. And out of all the reports, there's one report that doesn't count at the end. So if you succeed next week, because it will be easygoing, then maybe you'll get some nice points for later on. But okay, if you miss it, it's fine. So just saying, you should have all found your group. And for the next, for the exchange students, I can tell you that there's at least one that would be. Can you tell me your name?
Laure.
Laure, you will be D.
Yeah.
And the second one?
Alex Dazo.
Where should I do that? I think you'll be B.
Okay.
So, okay. And here you have your group, and here you have the first experiment, meaning next week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, easy, and 13. This is the stuff to remember. This will be on the Moodle page. I'll upload it, okay?
The group stays the same for the whole semester?
Yes, that's the group for the semester. The nice thing for you is that it's random. Just
random as you want to take it.
Well, this is something of importance because every year there's a bit of discussion on that. You don't choose your group. This is pure random. You deal with it. Okay? If you're having problems within your group and that you cannot manage by yourself, I mean, you're adults, so we would expect you to manage. But if it's beyond the usual, let's say, you can come to us. Avoid complaining directly. Just tell me about the problems you have, and then we can see what's wrong, what can be improved. But in principle, we are considering that you're adults and that you should learn about working in a team. This is part of what you should learn, work in a team. Which doesn't mean that if I see someone sitting doing nothing during the experience, I won't say anything. Then about the schedule. So you can see A, B, C, D, E, F. First week, next week, here are the experiments. Then we do a rotation for a few weeks. And then in red, that's when you have groups being merged for reactor experiments. Okay, so basically here it's approach to critical, 1 week, then the second, then well, etc., up to the end, exam. Okay, well, we're starting with the easiest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 13 is about radiation protection. Well, we thought you might want to learn about radiation protection early. So that's basically it. Any question? Still good? Nothing complicated. We'll have time to figure this out if there's any.
You need to remember now is one letter, right?
Yes.
So that's it.
Your letter, the corresponding experiment for next week. Yes?
Well, for the reports, we will have to install some softwares or on paper.
I'll show you everything.
Okay.
Just here. So for the course evaluation, just what I said before. First one, reports. Second one, oral examination. No, I changed the date. Wonderful. So the written reports are 1 per group to be uploaded on time. On time, really. So here for you, that will be Monday, every Monday evening. I'll check that again with Mathieu because we did not discuss it. Sunday was for the Tuesday people. Monday is for the Wednesday people. So that would be Monday evening. Well, midnight is midnight. Meaning midnight is past. Okay? I mean, cut the point, simply. You have to manage time. There's nothing too complicated, just upload on time and it will be fine. So what's nice, Mathieu is pretty efficient with that. He's making sure that you're receiving your corrections following the next day before the lab session. So here, Wednesdays again. And well, for all the reports, you'll get 1 grade minus the worst one. So as I said, if you are not used to everything like next week, it might help you. Or if you're keeping points and not managing one of the most complicated experiments in the following weeks. Second part, oral examination, 20-minute question period. So basically you pick 2 topics, you have to answer both, random. So that can be, please explain me the electronics of a spectrometry system. Go for it. And then we discuss. Don't freak out about this question, you'll learn. Yes, that's basically for the evaluation. And for the reports now, usually it's Mathieu explaining it because he's quite picky about these things. So please listen carefully. You'll have that to read it again, and he'll explain you when you miss it. So you're uploading your reports, you're following the right file name to upload it. This is not poetry, although I like short poems as well, but okay. 10 pages is an absolute maximum for a report. And we want it for you to be an opportunity to learn scientific format. Write it concise, well said, simple. These are examples taken from real reports. These are not the worst ones, to be honest. I've seen fancy stuff. So proofread it. Don't submit when you're not sure. because you just lose points for no reason. This is pointless. Take your time to proofread. You're 3 or even 4 per group, obviously, so you should have enough of manpower, let's say, to proofread it. Read it again and again, maybe. Theoretical captions exist and are correctly referenced. What it means is that you have a figure, you have a caption, and you talk about it in the text. Nothing fancy. You should know now, okay? So we're expecting you to manage. What I can tell you is that in 1 week, some of you will complain about not having all the points because of that. So yeah, read yourself. About reporting results, this is more complicated in the sense that I know that some of you, depending on your background, if you're physicists, chemists, life sciences, you learn about a few points. One is about showing how we show an agreement or disagreement, well, discrepancy in the end. So first, we want you to give us raw results, because if you're having a wrong result, it's easier if we have the base data that you used for it, because maybe it's not coming from you. You did it well. It's just that your data were biased for no reason, like a mistake from me can happen. So TKA file, it just means it's a NASCII file, basically. If there's no uncertainty, that's not a result. I can say the Earth is, I don't know, 1 kilogram. This is not wrong per se. It's just imprecise, incomplete. If I'm saying the Earth is 1 kilogram plus minus 1 Earth, then it's within. So an attempt to estimate the absolute or relative uncertainty should always be made with significant digits. 20 digits, well, in our field, sometimes it's useful, but not every time. So you learn about that. We know it's not easy. We'll discuss it. You'll fail a bit here and there. It's fine, okay? It's part of the learning. But really pay attention on that. And well, here are examples saying that it's fine. I'm having a value with an uncertainty where you can see the number of digits is just the same. It means that it's matching, okay? Not for teaching today, just telling you important. Yeah, here, if you have too much, for the too many digits, well, we'll discuss it. So that's, yeah, basically here it makes no sense because too many for the uncertainties that you can have. You can see that my uncertainties are already here and I'm giving 2 digits after, makes no sense. Okay, that's examples. Well, wonderful, wonderful graph taken from a true report. Well, axis, the caption, yeah, amplifier output of detector 1. What am I looking at? The output in what? Okay, please be careful about that. Seems silly, but every year. In the same way, if you get a result, you should compare it with a reference, with something else. So we'd rather have you giving an uncertainty which is able to tell you, okay, with respect to my reference, I have a measurement with this uncertainty, this is within. And then I can conclude. Here, what can I say? That I'm working with a determinist code? Sorry. But okay. So you should discuss in the end good or bad agreement with respect to an uncertainty and a reference value. If you're forgetting the reference or forgetting the uncertainty, that's not working. And that's basically it. That's just a few advices very quickly so that you can have them in mind for next week. We'll have time to discuss it next week and in the coming weeks. You won't do it perfectly the first time, but after a few weeks, you'll do it nice. I mean, your colleagues might tell you, we might be a bit difficult with that, but you're learning fast. So it's okay. Do not hesitate to ask them how harsh we can be, or how Matthew can be harsh with that. That's basically it. This was important because it's as soon as next Wednesday, knowing that you don't have classes on Monday. The Moodle page is not ready yet. I'll prepare it on Tuesday, meaning that if it's not ready and that you've not read the notice for Wednesday, it's fine with me. For the first one, it's okay. You learn directly on site. First one is okay. Following week, no. I want you on time, okay? And what else? the only thing that is missing here is knowing where the reactor is. I mean, where the control area is. So that's why we will make you a tool today, so that even if there are some people missing, you can bring them with your hands, just right there. You'll get lost and find your way at some point. Any question? Yes.
Bring lab coats to the experiment.
No. And actually, lab coats are not necessary in our lab up to now. So no, you don't. So it's fine. You just need to be cautious, and we'll show you on site how to proceed. I mean, we're in a clean environment. Risks are very minimal in our facility. Any other question?
Are contact lenses allowed?
Sorry?
Contact lenses?
If you don't touch your eyes constantly, yes. Because not putting your fingers in your eyes is just the same than in your mouth.
Okay.
Yeah?
You said, well, we have to report if we have more than one microsieverts.
Yeah, that's this we will learn. This is the unit for the doses. It's just that if you're having a dose that is not expected, we should discuss it.
Okay,
that's only the point.
So we can face this.
So a microsievert is pretty much 0. If you're having 2, I would say that you've done radiation protection. You learn soon. Don't worry about that. Okay. You will get a dose just by, living in a normal environment. In our case, the number of sources is known with low rate. There's only a couple of experiments where you should be extremely cautious, but we will again and again tell you how to be cautious with it.
Did you ever have a case where a student got contaminated?
Contaminated, no. Oh, actually it happened once, but that was a funny one. No kidding. This was a case where being contaminated, as long as we've not proven you're not, if there's a signal, we should check. So there was a bachelor student who got, because of the static when you have the hands foot, one of them did something, very good point actually. You'll have to check yourself on the hand-foot monitor, which is checking that you don't leave home with materials on yourself. You'll see that, we'll show you again and again, you'll learn. But if it happens to be positive in a way, meaning that it's beeping, saying you have something, what's the first thing to do? What's the first thing not to do?
To keep your hands on the thing.
Okay, you just call for someone, first thing to do. Or even before, you can measure again. Because with COVID, I guess that you should know the difference between false positive, false negative, all of that. So the first thing when we have a positive, we check again, because there's a high chance that it's a false positive. We don't want false negatives, so we might have false positives. You learn that, so you measure again. That's the first thing to do. And if it's second time, it's still positive, then you might have a problem, so you call for someone. Please don't do what a bachelor student did a few years ago, which is just running around and leaving the facility, and then we have to look for the person. It's just not the right idea. So don't freak out. We have pretty much no open sources in our lab. Chances that you're contaminated is pretty much 0. I mean, very specific cases, and not with the experiments you'll do. So just keep cool. If it's positive, we'll check and we'll see. But yeah, usually what we had at some point for contamination problem, it didn't happen with one of you, is that we had some, when the professor is leaving, there's a chance that we find a radioactive source in his drawer. And we collect them sometimes, and one of them was emitting radon, and that was inducing some contamination, but low risk, and we just cleaned. That's the kind of stuff that can happen in our facility, but that's the highest. Radon contamination, that's something we can manage. So yeah, don't worry about that. Just be cautious. Like in any lab, don't trust researchers in general.
It's a very, very, very safe environment. Yes. Even if you're contaminated, one of the worst things that can happen is you have to wash your hands. You probably have to take a shower, right? And then usually we would expect it. But it has happened. I remember once in 10 years I've been here that somebody needed to take a shower. I think after severe work,
yeah, that's
on the reactor, so you won't do that. So no worries.
Especially not with the experiments you'll do. Any other question? Yes.
In order to better understand how the robots should be done,
yes,
can we have like some examples, an example or something like that? Or
It's a good point because the only examples we have are answers to your. I think that you should be able to manage something. Who's from EPFL? You're used to TP3 reports, I guess. I mean the reports from the. Oh no, you didn't do it. Physics. Sorry, physics. EPFL. No one. I could provide that, but I don't think it's helpful. Which one? I mean, I could send you a report from a bachelor student, but really,
we cannot stop you from talking. So I mean, if you haven't done it yourself, then
the first day will explain you a typical. I mean, you should know the typical structure of a scientific article. So we can discuss it the first day, and the following day is like introduction, theory, setup, results, discussions, typical. Okay, there's nothing fancy in there. Any paper would, in experiments would work this way.
And we can use Word for
whatever file system. I mean, whatever document file, as long as you provide me Indian PDF, LaTeX, whatever you use. Get used to whatever you want. We are some of us are pushing for some ways, but. In the end, if it's a PDF, it's fine.
I will note here that I encourage you not to use ChatGPT too much. I've seen it in the last year with students over-reliant on it to generate the context or introduction pieces of their reports. It's the same language that ChatGPT produces. It's very recognizable. It's very epic. It uses words like crucial and pivotal. And no, you're doing a lab experiment with us. It's not pivotal science you're doing. Please stay frank, learn scientific writing, practice with us. Learn scientific writing by writing yourself instead of relying too much on generated tools. These tools will be useful to you, but learn to also write yourself. It's an important skill to learn.
If you are cautious, that's a very, I mean, I don't know if you can say for that, guys, in the back, but it's a very useful tool for you to learn now so that in your internship and thesis, it's easy. Really, we know how to recognize when it's ChatGPT. We've learned. Yeah.
Sometimes the output is good, but you have to recognize when the output is good and when it isn't.
And for that,
that's by just getting feedback from us, whether it was good or not, or talking to your peers, reading other papers, and recognizing what is good scientific language and what isn't. So, yeah. Good talk?
I think we are.
All right. So get your stuff, back yourself up. Make yourself
so I reach you that at the date, right?